What's going on, buddies? It's the Cardinal coming at you with my initial thought review, quick review of Logan. I say quick, but we'll see. For those of you who don't know, Logan is a solo Wolverine movie that takes place in the future after all the mutants are extinct, except for, Wolverine and Professor X. It is, straight out the gate, it's the best. It's by far the darkest Marvel movie ever made. That's not even a question. Like, I don't think anyone will fight you on that. Whether or not they think it's better than this movie or worse than this movie, that's fine. I think it's almost in its own realm as far as I can't even compare it to the Disney Marvel universe because I don't want to say kiddie, but it's more fun and colorful and bright. And yes, they deal with dark themes, but this is, we're talking like dark themes like, Lord of the Rings versus dark themes like a fucking Tarantino or Coen Brothers movie. This is really, really dark. And yes, it's hard R. It's not, oh, it's R, but it's just like a couple like violent scenes. I can still take my kids. Do not take your kids. Don't do it. No. There's nudity. There's ridiculous violence, like hard, like this is basic. Put this in the Deadpool category of movies you don't take your kids to see that feature superheroes. But I will say, yeah, this movie's fucking brilliant, man. I was trying to figure out things I didn't like about it, and I was coming up pretty damn short. Outside of villain that seemed to be a little too convenient, and a final scene that sort of came together a little too conveniently for me, which that's always in it, but that's in every superhero movie. I mean, there's always those convenient scenes where something happens right at the right time, blah, 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 blah. And outside of those two small complaints, this movie was almost perfect, which you don't hear me say very often. I think it's the best movie of the last 2 years. I think it was, after sleeping on it for a night. I think it was better than any superhero film that came out last year, which is a big thing to say because we got Civil War and Doctor Strange and Deadpool. And those were all great films in their own right. Ask anyone, I loved Doctor Strange. But as far as a tight, very cerebral and just dark, poignant narrative, this movie was so just right on. This movie, think of Children of Men. If you've seen that movie, this is very much a Children of Men style movie. It almost isn't even a superhero movie, more so than it's just it's a drama that has hyper violence. It's the No Country for Old Men, but for old man Logan. But yeah, he's this alcoholic, and he's in he's taking care of Charles Xavier, and Xavier's got, he's old, and he has this, disease, and it's not then also the future, all the, mutants have been killed, and it's just it almost has this sort of post-apocalyptic feel at times. But I don't want to spoil anything, and pretty much talking about any scene in this movie outside of the scenes you saw in the trailers. So yes, there is a lot of slashing. Claws happen very often. There are, you see Charles sitting in a car, Xavier at one point, so that happens. But outside of those things, I can't really talk about specifics. But I will say, I thought this movie ended perfect. It was a perfect ending for a movie. I wish more comic movies would end like this one did. It just like I mean, I was so just, you know, I was so happy with it. Like I saw, that, spoilers. It says, when it says Logan at the end of the movie, and I just was like I haven't wanted to applaud for a movie since I saw Force Awakens, like in theaters. I didn't want to just like, so I wanted to start slow clapping because, and I kind of was looking around like, are we gonna? And no one else followed me, so maybe people don't like this movie as much as I did, which is fine. But personally, this is the only other comic book movie that comes close to the quality of Logan, in my opinion, is The Dark Knight. I think The Dark Knight, I mean, but shit, dude, anybody who knows me knows that that's on my top 10 favorite films ever made. So, but that's the only other film I can think of that comes even close to the just brutal, cerebral, realistic vision of what a superhero movie could and should be. Now, you can argue the fact that neither of these movies are superhero movies because they are dramas. Dark Knight was a crime drama. Logan is kind of a, post-apocalyptic sci-fi drama with a few claws. Here, take it or leave it, but damn, dude, the cinematography, the every shot is beautiful, and this brings us to the reason this movie works is the chemistry between the little girl, Charles Xavier, and Logan, Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, and whatever that little girl's name is. They all deserve awards for this movie. That little girl, what the fuck? Where has she been? And she needs to be in every movie from now on. Every single one. I don't want to see a movie without that girl in it. She is... I can't even talk about it. But she's amazing. I mean, every look, every glance she does is like... She's an old soul or something, man. She's reincarnated from some other badass actress, I don't know what it is, but she is just brilliant. She's like 7, so whatever. She just blew me away. And then, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart are going to have their chemistry. Of course, they've been doing this dance for years, but this movie shows it so much. And you have this grandfather, father, daughter lineup, and it works so well. It is heartbreaking and beautiful and is one of the best films ever made, in my opinion. And, I'm biased because I love superhero movies. But when I see one done right, because I love Coen Brothers and Tarantino movies as well, and when I see one done in the vein of those movies, like how The Dark Knight was like a Scorsese movie almost, when it's done like these, James Mangold, the director of this, deserves so much fucking praise because he really wasn't known for much before this. I mean, he did the Wolverine, the other movie, it was fine. We had Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was fucking terrible. That's one of the worst superhero movies ever made, in my opinion. So the Wolverine thing doesn't make it's like a trilogy. We have the first one, which was terrible. You have the second one, The Wolverine, which was serviceable. It was fine, but it was like had so many shitty plot holes, and it was miles better than the first one. And then you had this last one, which is like one of the best fucking things I've ever seen. So I don't understand that this guy go to like some crazy fucking music director school, and I don't get it. And we expect this out of the Disney side of things lately, right? We see these directors like James Gunn, who did Guardians of the Galaxy, and these guys, they didn't do much. They don't have a whole lot under their belt, and you're like, I don't know, is it gonna be good? And then they come out and this movie's amazing, and you're like, how did this director, I mean, or the Doctor Strange director, he did Insidious, and that was like pretty much it. Like, he'd done some other weird horror movies and stuff, and then he just came out, and Doctor Strange was amazing. And same thing with the Star Wars movies. Gareth Edwards did Rogue One, and it was like, he did Godzilla, which was fine, and then he did like this one movie, Monsters, which was like an indie film, and then he did Rogue One, and it was like amazing. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how are these guys doing this? But I feel like Disney has some sort of they take these dudes to a class or some sort of Clockwork Orange thing where they hold their eyes open and make them fucking watch like good ass movies and be like, do this movie. And I don't know, there's brainwashing, maybe. But see, that's over at Disney lately, right? Because every Disney movie that's come out has been fucking fantastic. Star Wars, Marvel or Pixar or Disney, straightforward. But the X-Men movies have all been real hit and miss. Now, I will say I haven't seen X-Men Apocalypse. I haven't gotten around to it. And for some reason, you can't fucking rent it anywhere. So I have to, like, buy it or else I can't see it. So that's the only one I haven't seen. But I can't imagine that it's any better than Logan. Just from the critical, way it was received critically to my friends who have seen it. Logan is far and away the best X-Men film. Now, is it an X-Men film? It's debatable. Because it's got one X-Man. It's an X-Man film. It's X-Man. But if you haven't seen it, go fucking see it, please. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I think it was that good. I rate on a 20-point scale. And that's basically as close as it gets to perfect for me. Just like I said, there was a couple minor things, and I don't think I've ever given a movie a 10. I don't know that I believe in that, because that's sort of like saying there was nothing wrong with it. I don't know that movie's been made, but except for maybe Empire Strikes Back. Man, go see it. It's fucking brilliant, and they did such a good job. It's haunting, and it'll leave you. You'll be staring at the screen like after the credits roll, not necessarily waiting for an end credit scene, just like, like what the fuck just happened. Like, that movie was so brutal. Don't take your kids to see Logan, please. But yeah, and you get to hear Charles Xavier drop F-bombs, so that's always good. But if you liked the video, hit like. If you didn't like it, hit dislike, and check me in the next one. Thanks, guys.